Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I've got just the one vowel, so certainly no bingo here. And I'm wondering whether to play batch or the same word with an S on the end. So this is the highest scoring of those two, 30 points. 22 for just batch. So I think I will play the lower scoring word because I think the S helps this Rackley by more than 2 points. I'm going with this. Well, I draw a second S, but that could be useful in column 11. Batch takes an A after it as well as an S. Not seeing a bingo with this rack, either a 7 or an 8. Could be one. But I will be looking to play off the X. Pretty slim pickings at the moment, though. I can't even reach this triple letter square, or either of the triple letter squares in column 10. I guess I could play axe or sax underneath the first two letters of batch. Close to taxicabs. Now, opponent's gone in that spot. I could play ticks. Or maybe taxis. So let me see what ticks scores. That's 29. Quite a good rack leave. C and S go well together. And I'm retaining an S for column 11. A play of taxis would allow opponent to score off the X. So I think I prefer this positioning. Am I missing something? Is there a play beginning with S which gets the X tripled? Don't think so. I could play Saic and retain the X, but given that I've got S's, I would like to play off the X because the X is a non-bingo-y tile. And this isn't giving much away. Wow, all consonant draw. That's pretty grim. I still have an A for going on the end of batch, so I could play cards. That would sort the rack out, and the S, and that's still available. Fantastic. So I have cards for 28. Yeah, and that's not providing very much for my opponent at all. Slightly more vowels. But I'm not seeing a bingo here. I have an H for going after the C. I have a 40-point lead on quite a tight board. Underneath ticks looks a very promising option because box takes nothing in front, C only takes an H. So there are very few other scoring spots on the board. So I'd quite like to get rid of the U, get rid of the T. A play of Hutier or Hut would achieve that. So I could play Hut and SH, but SH takes quite a few hooks, so that would be offering up scoring spots. Opponent goes there. So what has he provided? Well, an S can go after oik. I could play Hutier and TI. But is there something better? What about Tuath? For 23. Yeah, and I have the S, so I don't mind too much opening the board up. That's not massively dangerous or reckless. I'm not providing access to triple word squares. Is there a better play running parallel to oik? K can take an A or an I after it. I think I would have difficulty playing off the U parallel to oik, and I do want to do that because it massively hampers my bingo prospects. So Chuath for 23. Well, balanced through an E, I would have implores and pellerism. Wow, look at that. No E's at all have been played so far. Will opponents stick one out in the open? Now my I and O can go after the K. So I should have some scoring options in columns 11 and 13 at the top, and in column 13 at the bottom. M and P both go next to SI. Wow, opponent plays off the Q for 26 points, doesn't provide an E. Now, do I have a bingo through the A? That looks quite a promising set of tiles. So what would that look like? An anagram of polarism, which isn't good. Nothing has come to mind. What has come to mind is the fact that I have an I for going after the Q. Let me just put this down here. So I could play lip for 37 points. This is quite a good rack leave. I don't wish to extend it to lipo because that creates a good scoring spot for opponent, or too good a scoring spot for opponent. So I'm going with this lip for 37, and the E's come out to play. But do I have a bingo with this rack? And I'm not sure I do. And I run the risk now of having a succession of vowel-heavy racks. I do have a lead, but it's a slender one, and it would disappear were opponent to bingo. Tip takes IST after it. Opponent does bingo, and provides floating E and S, which would ordinarily be fantastic, but in this instance is not. They duplicate tiles on my rack. So, what to do? Am I sure there's no bingo? The L is just about a floater for bingos with S and L. Not seeing anything there. Just slightly too vowel heavy. So nothing through the A. I trail now by about 20 points. I'm wondering about opening the board up even more. Or should I just play in row O onto this S? What do I have which doesn't burn my existing S? Can I get my M doubled? And I don't think I can. Wow, what a tricky position to be faced with. 13 minutes on my clock. The other alternative to playing in row O would be to play in row K, opening the board up further. That's not going to score very much. So I could play more, which takes an S in front, which is handy since I have one. And I think I'm inclined to go with this. So vowel heavy though, with all these E's to come. And very few floating consonants. Look at this, there's a floating E of regales, O of more, A of Chuath. It's all vowels. However, I do quite like opening up column 1 for my S. Am I? Just 16 points. I could play Mo in column 14, parallel to Regales. 25 points, 9 more points and a much better rack leave. Yeah, this R really helps C, and I'm forking the board to some extent because if opponent plays down onto Cam, which takes a number of vowels, he'll be leaving this S alone for a play in row O. I'm going with this. That looks pretty good. What do I have? Surely there's a 7 here. Well, it has not come to mind. Gosh, and this rack does not go well with vowels. And the only floating consonant is this S. Okay, nice play by opponent, 51 points. I now trail by about 40. Is there really no 7 with this rack? Just not seeing one. I'm just mentally considering each tile as a starting tile. Nope, I'm not seeing a bingo there. Opponent's play has created a new lane in row N, which is good. I have a real problem here in that I can leave a fantastic rack leave, but only at the expense of a dismal score. So ideally, I'd play off just O and U, but I'm not even sure there's anywhere to do that. There is. I can play shoe, which takes a T. Cam doesn't take an S at the end, I don't think. I have a T for chout. Only 10 points. But this rack leave is so good, I am highly likely to bingo, and Chu isn't providing access to this triple word square because access already existed as a consequence of the cam hooks. This doesn't feel great. So am I missing something better? I could play outbox, but I think the T helps this rack. I'm going with shoe. Well, I have seriate and areast. Do either of those play? This Y isn't quite as useful as it looks because it doesn't take an E in front. It does take an A, but neither of my bingos plays there. Now, I do have atresia in column 15. If opponent... Sorry, I do not have atresia. I have 2 E's. What about row K? Well, that is not a bingo lane because box only takes a Y. I think I may have gotten myself into a bit of a pickle here. So siderate is good. I've blocked that. Chower not good. Anagrams of siderate steadier. Seriated and readiest. None of those go. Neither of my bingos hooks graved. Through an E, I would have eateries. So what about playing down here? I could play date for 25, and that's quite a good rack leave. Can I do better than that? And I'm just wondering about trying to play off one more vowel. Well, I think dite is going to be better because the A is useful for the Y of Yojans. Dite for 25. I draw U and V. I do not have a bingo on my rack. So what would I like to do? Probably play off U and V. So I could play Uva and Tar. Tix isn't doing anything in terms of bingo lanes at the moment. I could play Uvia and Tar. And I could play Uvia and Ag. That would be quite handy, because U takes an S underneath it, so I'd be creating a 7-letter S lane. What about Varieurs? Is that good? Not sure, it may be. I don't think it plays anywhere. Yes, it is. So I do have a bingo on my rack. Am I sure it doesn't play? Yeah, because it ends in an E. And those lanes, no lane exists for plays ending in E. So this is what I was thinking of, Uvia for 14. Yeah, and Ag also takes an S, so I'm creating a couple of S lanes. Just rechecking row N to make sure my bingo doesn't go, and it doesn't. And what about the bottom of column 15? Well, I'm not going to play my U and my V in that spot. I'm going with this. Wow, dreadful pick. And I trail by 40, so this isn't looking good. Still 2 blanks to come, however. So no 7 with this rack, and I suspect there's no 8 either. What about the bottom of column 15? Well, opponent takes out 1 lane, creates another. And I hadn't considered column 8 down onto this V. But I'm not seeing a play there. Well, I could play Perv, but I'd quite like to play off the F because it's so non-bingo-y. Where can I do that? Well, GIF is good. So I could do this. Ref, 23 points, creating a new lane in column 3 because Ref takes a T. This is quite a nice rack leave. So a Ref for 23. Great, I draw the T. So I have Spurted in column 3. And Striped is its anagram, which plays in row M. Both of those could be taken out. Are there any other anagrams? Well, I'm not sure there are. So opponent could be about to put a stranglehold on this game, except for rows C and E. Well, I have the S, but there's just no 7-letter bingo ending in S that I've seen. So Spurted, Striped. Yep, not seeing anything else. Maybe opponent will be lured to row O, which would allow Spurted to play. And row F, also a bingo lane, I mustn't forget. Available for bingos ending E and S. Okay, so opponent has disrupted both of those bingo lanes. I don't think TN is a useful combination. So what to do here? Well, the D isn't much use. It generally appears at the end of words. Still 3 E's to come, which isn't very many. What to do? 15 tiles to come, including both blanks. This is really tricky because I'm a bingo behind and I'm really reluctant to score very little. Well, 27 isn't very little. And I am creating new bingo lanes and I'm providing a floating E which compensates somewhat for removing an E from my rack. The only trouble with this is that opponent may be able to extinguish all bingo lanes on the board by playing in column 7 because Neff has taken out everything down the bottom. But I think this is still the best play. I need to keep scoring. Perv for 27. And I draw the Z, which is nice to see, even though it's non-bingo-y, because it holds out the promise of a big score. And do I have any plays in row O with the Z? And it's quite tempting to play off a lot of tiles to draw one of these blanks. Ditzies isn't good, it's just with a T, so ditziest. I can play Z. Do I have a play ending in Z? Well, only says, and that burns the S, which I'd like to hang on to. Just looking at the P and the E to see if I have a bingo through either of those, and I don't think I do. So I trail by 35 with opponent on turn, but still 12 tiles in the bag. But quite ominously, 2 blanks unseen. They could both be on opponent's rack. Well, there goes one of them. 76 points, nice score for opponent. Do I have a bingo through any of these floaters? Just 5 tiles in the bag, and I trail by 110. No, I'm not seeing a bingo. How can I get value from the Z? And I'd like to play off an I as well to give me a chance of bingoing, or to increase my chances of bingoing. So I can do Zati, which creates a new lane in column 3. I'm going with this. Great, I would hope to be bingoing with this rack, unless opponent extinguishes the remaining lanes. And he could do that. But I feel that I'm still too far behind. Yeah, 58 points for opponent, so I'm 130 points behind. The bag is empty. Now, do I have a play in row E, which pluralizes Zati and sticks an E or an S on the end of Perv? I have 4 minutes to find such a play. I think it's my highest scoring option. So I'm going to look for bingos and then see if they play. Well, let me first identify a playable bingo. I've got strides in column 3, so I'll play that if I can't find a better one. So that's saddest, deceit. Not seen anything else so far. That looks useful. Still nothing. Double S not really helping. Nope, nothing there. Well, disnest, dissent, snidest. Well, that looks like it should make something. Three minutes on my clock. That's strides and dissert. That's a whole lot of S's. Sudsiest. But that doesn't play. Let me just go back. Divests. No, but that is a higher scoring play than strides in column 3. Okay, so I'm not seeing a play in row E. Well, there is a play, it just doesn't stretch underneath perv because I have deceit for 80. Can I do any better than that? That's not going to be a winning play. What about a play in row M? 2 minutes on my clock. Well, I think it's unlikely. Well, I've still got 2 minutes. This is available for plays ending SED. And I can go here. No, I'm not seeing anything there, so I'm going back to plan A. Deceit for 80. And the final score, 405 for me, 432 for my opponent, a winning margin of 27 points. So well done to my opponent. Let's see what I missed. Quite a close game. Now, it was me to go first. I thought about batch and batches, but I didn't consider batch, which I think would have been the better play for 32 points. Opponent's rack plays gob and G11, taxis and batcher for 36. And I play ticks for 29. Yeah, 7 fewer points, but taxis allows scoring off the X, so probably not terribly much between those. Wow, look at this, dreadful rack for opponent. Plays coup. And I have cards for 28, which looks fine. Still a lot of vowels for opponent. He plays oik. And, wow, interesting, I played Chuath for 23, and I could have got 18 more points with the S. And I should have played it. The S only worth about 8 to 10 points. Opponent's rack plays chi. No bingo here. And my law was playable for 39, and I played lip for 2 fewer points. But it's not just about score and rack leave. My law provides an opportunity for a big score in column 15, or more opportunities for a big score in column 15 than lip, so I still like my play. Great bingo for opponent, regales, 82 points, and I now trail by 20, but there are still 49 tiles to come. No bingo here, and I play Mo for 25, which I quite like because the rack leave of AERS is so strong. Opponent's got a clunky rack, but Yojans sorts it out nicely. Now, moment of truth. This looked a great rack, but I couldn't see a bingo. And there is none. So I played Chu for 10, keeping rates, which is pretty fantastic. However, H15, I could have played Sutar for 35. Is my rack leave of rates 25 points better than E? Yes, it is. E is worth about 0.5, and rates must be worth about 40 points, I would say. It's a really strong 5-letter set. So definitely at least 25 points better, and I think it's possibly 40 points better. Now, opponent's rack. Plays graved, and this was painful because this really did look very bingo-y. But there was no bingo. I could have played Sedator for 43, trashing the rack. Instead, I played Dite for 18 fewer points, but keeping a rack leave of ears, which is pretty good. So ears again is worth 18 points more than I. I must be worth about -1, I think, and ears must be worth probably 20. So I still prefer my play. Horrible rack for opponent, 4 ends. He plays Anne. I have Varieurs, nowhere for it. K2, RV. Yeah, interesting. Sticking the A and the R out in the open looks like they are creating floaters, but it provides a super easy scoring spot for opponent with this triple letter square to score well and close down bingo lanes. So I'm not a massive fan of that, only 24 points. So UV for 14. Yeah, maybe UV in row K would have been better, but UV does a good job in creating a bingo lane, 2 bingo lanes for bingos ending in S, so it has merit. Opponent leads by 40, but with a pretty dreadful rack. Plays win. And now... Wow! Good grief. Good grief. I was a million miles away from spotting that. I have prefers on my rack. Wow. What a painful miss. 2 spots for it, the 2 S lanes. Just did not see that. Okay, well that's pretty remiss. And a really significant moment in the game since I was within a bingo's reach of my opponent. Wow. Okay, so I play ref for 23. Opponent's rack plays Neff. And no further missed bingo here. I have a great rack, but no bingo. And I play Perv to open the board up. I trail by 30. And opponent has Awakened, which sealed the victory for him. He's 110 points ahead. I play Zati for 46. Opponent has Oyez for 58. And now I trail by 120 odd. And Desists was available, and that does achieve what I was looking for, pluralizing Zati and Perv. So I missed that, and I played Deceit for 10 fewer points, but both of those plays were losing plays. So what a dramatic game. Really, really close throughout, and I had my opportunity. My opportunity was there to really get back into the game and to overtake my opponent. It wouldn't have guaranteed me the win, but missed bingos are always painful, and they score so much that quite often they can affect the result of the game, and that may have happened here. So painful stuff. I hope you enjoyed watching that pain, and I will see you next time.